National news broadcast on Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. I am Siobhan Pereira.
And I'm Ali. Let's have a look at the headlines first. President outlines Sri Lanka's economic vision to a consortium of Indian industry heads. President visits Uganda for the 19th Non-Aligned Movement Summit. 1 month completes to the Yuktia operation. Minister Tiran says the crime rate has dropped by 17%. CCTV surveillance operations in Colombo will be further tightened from Monday. Traders say economic centers functioned in a normalized manner despite vegetable shortage. IMF emphasizes the need for unchanged continuation of economic reforms in Sri Lanka. Pakistan fires retaliatory strike at Iran, 9 killed. On to those stories and others in detail, and your top story for tonight is President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasizes the successful resolution of supply bottlenecks, the removal of import restrictions and the restoration of foreign exchange liquidity as key factors contributing to sustained economic growth.
Now, the President took center stage in a recent roundtable discussion organized by the Consortium of Indian Industry and the World Economic Forum, unveiling a comprehensive economic vision for Sri Lanka.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasizes the successful resolution of supply bottlenecks and removal of import restrictions and the restoration of foreign exchange liquidity as key factors contributing to sustained economic growth. The President took center stage in a recent roundtable discussion organized by the Consortium of Indian Industry and the World Economic Forum, unveiling a comprehensive economic vision for Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is actively expanding its trade agreements with a recently completed comprehensive free trade agreement with Singapore and an upcoming free trade agreement with Thailand in February. Ongoing discussions with India, China and Southeast Asian nations highlight the nation's commitment to global economic integration. President Wickremesinghe welcomed private investments, particularly in infrastructure development and the divestment of state-owned enterprises. Lucrative opportunities for potential investors were highlighted in key sectors such as telecommunications, financial services and energy. Collaborative efforts with India on renewable energy projects focusing on offshore wind and solar sources underscored the commitment to sustainable energy solutions. Plans for a high-capacity power grid and bidirectional electricity trade further showcased the dedication to energy and power connectivity. Bilateral trade and economic engagement were central themes, with planned outlines for liberalizing trade in goods and services, custom cooperation, the emphasis on technology cooperation and the use of the Indian rupee for trade settlement reflects a commitment to strengthening economic ties. Sri Lanka's vision also extends to tourism and people-to-people connectivity, fostering cultural and educational collaborations and sustainable development. President Ranil Wickremesinghe met with President of Switzerland, Viola Amherd, yesterday. The meeting was held on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum held in Davos, Switzerland. Meanwhile, the President also met with his Singaporean counterpart, Tharman Shanmugaratnam, yesterday. President Ranil Wickremesinghe is set to take center stage at the upcoming 19th Summit of the Heads of State and Government of the Non-Aligned Movement and the 3rd South Summit of the Group of 77 and China. The summits are scheduled to take place from January 19th to 22nd in Kampala, Uganda. At the invitation of President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, President Wickremesinghe will participate in these global gatherings and address both the NAM Summit and the South Summit. This year's summit is themed Deepening Cooperations for Shared Global Affluence and will kick off with meetings of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and senior officials.
And in the meantime, Acting IGP Deshabandhu Thenakone says the mechanism to identify motor traffic violations and impose penalties with Colombo city limits will be implemented from the 22nd onward. And these remarks were shared during a media briefing held at the Ministry of Public Security today. Acting Acting IGP Deshbandu Tenakon said that they are expecting to detect motor traffic violations with the use of camera system to implement the traffic laws in the city limits. He said that this initiative will come into place from 22nd of this month. He added that the traffic violations will be monitored using the CCTV surveillance system and the relevant offender will be informed to be present at the nearest police station and pay the penalty for the committed violation. He said that the police have identified a section within the police who are addicted to illegal narcotics. He said those identified officers will be directed to medical examinations. He added that the officer who have committed such violations will be terminated from the service following disciplinary actions. Remarks were also shared regarding the investigations pertaining to the Easter Sunday terrorist attack. Mr. Tiranalis said that the relevant investigations files pertaining to the All Saints Church incident have been handed over to the Attorney General's Department for further proceedings. He said that the eminent Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit should communicate with the police if there are any other suspected parties alleged to investigate into the incident based on the provided information.
කරුණා කළා ඒකත් පරීක්ෂණයක් කරන්න කියලා අපි ලෑස්ති ඕන එකක් කරන්න. ඒක ගැන සෑහීමකටපත් වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් කරුණා කරලා අපි එක්ක එකතු වෙලා තව තොරතුරු මොන හරි තියෙනවා නම් ඒවත් අපිට ලබා දීලා අපි එකතු වෙලා මේක කරමු. එමුකෝ කාට හරි ඇත්තටම මේක ඇත්ත හොයාගන්න ඕනේ නම් මං හිතන්නේ ඒකයි කරන්න ඕනේ. නිකන් මේ මාධ්‍ය සාකච්ඡා තිය බැන ඉඳලා වැඩක් නැහැ. එමුකෝ ඕක තව අවුරුදු 10ක් වුණත් ওই වැඩේ ඕ විදිහටම යයි. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔක්කොම එකතු වෙලා ඉඳගෙන මේක විසඳ ගන්න පුළුවන්. සෑම ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම්
Heads of Department under the Public Security Ministry also shared remarks during the briefing. Chairman of the Dangerous Drug Control Board, Shah Kenana Akara, said that 200 officers selected from divisional secretariats in the country have been trained and deployed. He said that the development officers have been absorbed into the Defence Ministry following a special training. Director General of the Secretariat for Non-Governmental Organisations, Sanjeeva Vimalagunaratne, said that the socio-economic contribution of the non-governmental organisations is at 16 billion rupees. However, this has been increased up to 32 billion rupees at present. Commissioner General of Department of Registration of Persons Pradeep Saputantri said that necessary measures have been taken to implement the e-national identity card system in this year. Controller General of the Department of Immigration and Emigration, Harshay Lukpitia, said that a new visa criteria has been introduced under the title Nomad Granting Residential Visa for those who are working online. He also said that the facilities have been made to grant visa for investors for a period of 10 years. He said that they are expecting to introduce permanent residency visa in Sri Lanka as well.
Now on to a subject that has caught the attention of many. All economic centres in the country carried out its operations in a normalised manner, despite certain media reports which claimed that some economic centres had to be closed down due to a shortage of vegetables. Farmers have claimed that the vegetable prices have increased due to the interference and influence of the intermediaries. The prices of vegetables at Kapitipola, Nuwara and Tambuttegama economic centres were slightly reduced compared to the previous day. The Kapitipola Special Economic Centre had received a considerable amount of vegetable stocks today. The supply of vegetable stocks to the Nuwara Economic Centre has dropped today rapidly, and the Nuwara Economic Centre collective said that the existing situation will be worsened after a month of May. A slight decline of traders visiting the Dabula Economic Centre to purchase vegetables was observed today. Accordingly, the prices of the vegetables had been reduced drastically by 200 to 500 rupees. The Tambuttegama Special Economic Centre recorded high prices of vegetables today. The traders have said that a rapid decline was observed over the supply of certain vegetables. Meanwhile, upcountry vegetable farmers have said that even though the market prices have increased, they have not been able to generate a sufficient income to cap their costs pertaining to the cultivations. Accordingly, the farmers urged the intervention of the government to control the persisting situation. They have said that the persistent inclement weather condition destroyed 70% of the vegetable cultivation in the country. Accordingly, the farmers expressed their financial difficulties and other inconveniences caused by the reduced harvests. Ground frosting in Nuwara area has severely affected the vegetable and tea cultivations. Nuwara farmers have claimed that high cold temperature is not suitable for certain vegetable cultivation in the region.
Meanwhile, Minister Ali Sabri addressed the NUM Ministerial Committee on Palestine recently, and the meeting was held on the sidelines of the meeting of the foreign ministers of the NUM in Kampala. He participated in the meeting at the invitation of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Uganda. Addressing the committee, Minister Sabri reiterated Sri Lanka's long-held principled position of Palestine that recognizes the legitimate and inalienable right to statehood of the people of Palestine. He reconfirmed Sri Lanka's commitment to support a just and comprehensive negotiated political settlement to the Palestine issue in line with the relevant UN resolutions, leading to two-state living side by side based on the 1967 borders. While expressing Sri Lanka's deep concern on the tragedy that is continuing to unfold, causing an unprecedented level of civilian casualties in the Gaza, Minister Sabri stressed that a humanitarian ceasefire is the only solution to halt the mounting civilian death toll. The minister commended the dedication and courage of the healthcare and humanitarian aid workers in Gaza, including the significant work carried out by the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East. Minister Sabri welcomed the high priority accorded to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the Palestinian issue at the 19th summit of the NUM. While referring to the double standards in the response to the crisis in Gaza, he called upon the international community to form a united front and a collective voice towards alleviating the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Foreign Secretary Aruni Vijayawardena and senior officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs participated at the meeting.
Now, Minister Dr. Bandulu Gunawardena says that the VAT imposed on all books can be reduced if all businesses are to be imposed with the tax. Now, he made these remarks while taking part in an event to declare open a new branch of Sarasavi Group of Companies in Panadura. This is the 30th branch of the Sarasavi Group of Companies, which was commenced in the year 1973. The chairman of Sarasavi Group of Companies, H.D. Premasiri, was also present on this occasion. Minister Dr. Bandulu Gunawardena said that the VAT will only be effective after exceeding the limit of 6 million. Therefore, he said a large-scale book publishers will come under taxation, while other small and medium-scale book publishers will be free of VAT. He said that the VAT could only be reduced if all businesses are to be imposed with the tax, which will also resolve the existing crisis.
And on that note, we'll be back with more news right after a small commercial break.
Prima Kutumi, Pantamai.
දක්ෂිණ ලංකා පොත් ප්‍රදර්ශනය 2024 ජනවාරි 19 සිට 28 තෙක් පෙරළු 9 සිට පස්වරු 7 දක්වා ගාල්ල නගර සභා පරිශ්‍රයේදී සංවිධානය පොදු රාජ්‍ය මණ්ඩලීය ප්‍රකාශන ජාලය.
And we're back with more local news. Now, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says many programs will be initiated this year by the government in an effort to safeguard the small-scale industrialists.
And the Prime Minister said that the assistance of foreign countries will also be received for these programs. He expressed these views at the Mathale District Office. The incubator machines are to be distributed to cover every district with the objective of strengthening the rural economy and uplifting small-scale poultry farm owners. Sri Lanka received the equipment consignment according to a request made by the Prime Minister during his visit to China. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that the machines received from China have been distributed in a way that every district gets the opportunity to use them. He said that the Development Committee will support the effective implementation of this program in every district of the Central Province. All the divisional secretaries, including the government agents, should support this program, he added.
And in more local news, the acting Finance Minister Shehan Semasinghe says that the IMF representatives have emphasized the importance in carrying out the economic reforms precisely as intended. He made these remarks during a meeting at the Presidential Secretariat today. Acting Minister of Finance Shahan Singha expressed satisfaction with the progress of the reforms that Sri Lanka is implementing under his directions to overcome the economic crisis. The minister notes that further discussion is taking place regarding the pertinent reforms and their timelines. These opinions were voiced during the review meeting on the IMF program with Senior Mission Head of the IMF, Peter Brewer, and his team. The delegation pointed out that these reforms are essential for the economic development of the country, regardless of which party comes to power, and this will be communicated to all parties, including the opposition. The minister further stated that the delegation expressed their views on the North and East visits and emphasized the need to include them in this process. Shahan Singha said that after considering objections and appeals of 640,000, a decision has been reached to include them. Accordingly, he said he made these remarks during a meeting held at the Finance Ministry with the Welfare Benefits Board today.
And in the meantime, the bill aimed at classifying public images to safeguard freedom of speech, expression and creative rights was recently handed over to President Secretary Saman Ekanaika at the Presidential Secretariat by the committee appointed by President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Former Chairman of the Board of Directors of Public Performance Board, Saman Ataudahetti, chaired the committee tasked with drafting the new legislation. The draft aligns with the contemporary international trends and standards developed through consultations with stakeholders in film, theatre and performing arts. Anticipated to be enacted, the new act will adhere to the currently enforced Public Exhibition Control Ordinance passed in 1912.
Gaul Concerto 2024 was launched in Colombo yesterday. The series of festivals has been launched with the aim to promote the southern coastal belt as a global tourism destination. Gaul Concerto 2024 Sri Lanka's South Coast Festival season will include many vibrant festivals in art, food, literature and music, including Gaul Literary Festival. The Concerto of Festivals will be held from January 12th to the end of March in the country's southern coast. The southern festivals have been organized by the Presidential Secretariat in collaboration with the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau and the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority under the guidance of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Gaul Concerto 2024 is anticipating a turnout of approximately 500,000 to 1 million local and foreign visitors. The festival, set against the backdrop of rich heritage, architecture and vibrant coastal charms of the southern province, brings together a diverse array of writers, poets, intellectuals, literary enthusiasts, musicians, artists and celebrity chefs from around the world. Senior advisor to the President Niranjan Devaditya and Chairman of Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau Chalaka Gajabahu were present at this occasion.
4 years ago, this country was shut down because of COVID. We were on our knees. And 2 years ago, we had the Aragale and riots and power cuts. I was in London watching my country of my birth being overtaken and traduced and brought down to being a basket case. But look what's happened. In a short 2-year period, we have all come together, working together, to create an extraordinary celebration of Sri Lankan culture, music, food, art, because we are a great people. Our ancient history, our gene pool makes us unique in the world. And I know, because I legislated for 27 different countries and 500 million people for 20 years. But I can tell you, by God, we are the best. I'm very proud that in a short period of 2 years, we have been able to revive, resurrect our global identity and stand tall and proud and showcase this festival. A small example of what we can do. I'm not talking about economics, I'm not talking about IT, I'm not talking about tourism, merely a cultural festival of what is so rich and vibrant and so positive in our country. Had he not called us together 9 months ago and said he's going to have the largest festival that Sri Lanka has ever had to show that we are back on the world stage, and everybody rallied around him and we produced this.
His Excellency the President has a vision for the country, 2029 to achieve 5 million tourists. Yes, we can do that, but we can't do that overnight. We need infrastructure, we need sustainability, we need a lot of other investments coming into Sri Lanka. That's why we have built it. This 2023 was a comeback year after what we experienced for the past 3-4 years in Sri Lanka. Easter bombings, COVID, and then the economic crisis. A lot of people compare Sri Lanka to Maldives, Philippines, Malaysia, other competing markets. But then again, they did not have an economic crisis like we did. It was a black mark created about Sri Lanka. But that black mark, you can't take it out because we are not bringing goods into the country. We are not bringing milk, or we are not bringing steel to the country. We have to bring people. And with all these travel advisories from Europe to Americas and all over the world, doing an event like this, doing events like this will show that Sri Lanka is ready. That's what we are doing with this as well. Sri Lanka is ready. 22 million warm hearts, 22 million warm smiles are ready to welcome you from all over the world. In that 5 million target, President has very clearly identified 2.5 million has to be the upper end of the market, which is affordable. If you compare ourselves to Maldives, yes, we have similar numbers, but it's quality versus quantity. So how do we attract that $500 per day tourists versus $180 to $200 tourists? So events like this will cater to get that market going for the whole country. So that's our task.
Next up, on a very timely topic, State Minister Dr. Ranjit Siyamalapitiya says that the displaying of the VAT registration certificate is compulsory in order to charge the tax. He made these remarks during a media briefing held in Yatyantoda yesterday. State Minister Dr. Ranjit Siyamalapitiya said that the limit for an individual to register for VAT was 80 million rupees. He said that a bill has been sent in Parliament to bring the limit down to 60 million rupees. However, he said that this has not been passed in the Parliament yet. He added that once the bill passes in the Parliament, any individual with an income of 60 million rupees per annum will be considered as a VAT taxpayer. Also, he said that displaying of the VAT registration certificate is compulsory in order to charge the tax from the consumers. Therefore, he said that the consumers have the right to inquire in this regard if they have been charged with the tax.
In more local news, now State Minister Lasantha Lagiyawanna assures that the ongoing issue in the issuance of driver's license will be addressed by October. He said that steps will be taken to issue permanent licenses through a one-day service rather than temporary ones. Now, the State Minister made these remarks during a news conference held at the Presidential Media Centre under the theme Collective Path to a Stable Country yesterday. Elaborating on the transportation initiatives under President Ranil Wickremesinghe's guidance, State Minister Lasantha Lagiyawanna emphasized the ministry's commitment to delivering efficient public transport services through modern technology. He highlighted ongoing programs and the ministry's efforts to amend the existing Motor Vehicle Act, introducing a new act. With approximately 8.9 million vehicles and 8.5 million licensed drivers in the country, efforts are underway to standardize all district offices issuing licenses to the level of the Verahara head office by year-end. Further developments include facilitating driver's licenses for foreigners at airports by April and resolving the current challenges in license issuances by October. The commitment extends to replacing temporary licenses with permanent ones through expedited one-day services. And we will be back with some foreign news right after this break. Stay tuned.
Hot and spicy fun vibe එක විවර
Welcome back. Pakistan has carried out missile strikes inside Iran's borders after Tehran's attack on Pakistani soil on Tuesday. Pakistan's foreign ministry said that the strikes hit terrorist hideouts in Iran's Sistan, Baluchistan province. It added that the purpose of the attack was in pursuit of Pakistan's own security and national interest. Iranian state media reports that at least 9 people have been killed in the attacks. On Tuesday, Iran struck targets inside Pakistan's Baluchistan province, saying it was targeting the Jaish al-Adl group. Pakistan and Iran have long accused each other of harboring militant groups that carry out attacks from regions along their shared border.
And on more news from away from home, the Pentagon officials have confirmed that the United States has carried out a fourth round of strikes in Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen yesterday. Some 14 Houthi missiles, which the US says may have been intended for attacks on shipping in the Red Sea, were targeted by forces. The US Middle East Command said the sites were struck by Tomahawk missiles fired from the US Navy vessels. The strikes come as the US designated the Houthis as global terrorists. US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the move, which reversed a decision to remove the designation in the early days of the Biden administration, was in response to the militants' ongoing attacks on commercial shipping in the region. The Houthis began attacking merchant vessels in November, saying they were responding to Israel's military operation in Gaza. Since then, the group has launched dozens of attacks on commercial tankers passing through the Red Sea, one of the world's busiest shipping lanes.
Prima Kutumi, Pantamai.
In some good news for you cricket fans, now Sri Lanka won the third T20 international match against Zimbabwe with 9 wickets in hand.
The match was played at our Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. Sri Lankan cricketers showcasing a brilliant display of bowling restricted the Zimbabwean innings to a score of 82 runs. Vanidu Hasranga picked up 4 wickets while Mahesh Theekshana and Angelo Matthews picked up 2 wickets each. In response, Sri Lanka managed to chase down the target with 9 wickets in hand. Pathum Nissanka was not out 39 runs while Kusal Mendes scored 33. Dhananjay Silva was not out on 15. Accordingly, Sri Lanka sealed the series 2-1.
In another thriller of a match last night, now India managed to win the third T20 international match against Afghanistan in the second super over. Accordingly, India secured the 3-match series 3-0.
The match was played in Bangalore. Batting first, India scored 212 runs for the loss of 4 wickets in their 20 overs. Rohit Sharma scored 121 runs in 69 deliveries. Riku Singh was not out 69. Shahid Ahmed picked up 3 wickets for Afghanistan, chasing this mammoth target. Afghanistan managed to level the score with the loss of 6 wickets.
Gulbadin Naib was not out 55. Ibrahim Zadran and Ramanullah Gurbaz scored 50 runs each. Washington Sundar picked up 3 wickets for India. To determine the winners, both teams competed in a super over. Accordingly, Afghanistan scored 16 runs in their super over and India in response managed to level the score. Accordingly, another super over was awarded to determine the winners. In the second super over, India managed to gather 11 runs. Afghanistan lost only 2 wickets within 3 deliveries in their super over. Accordingly, India won the match, sealing the series 3-0. This is also considered as the first T20 international match to be awarded with 2 super overs in history.
Prima Kutumi, Pantamai.
And that was your news, and that was a wrap here on your news at Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. I'm Siobhan Pereira together with Hesha Inali, wishing you a pleasant evening. Take care.